How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Today I just wanted to talk about the concept of your destiny, right? And your destiny is in your hands. And it doesn't matter whether it's your habits, whether you're trying to quit drinking alcohol, you're trying to get rid of any other bad habit in your life, whether you're trying to build a good habit in your life. It all comes down to the same thing, right? Your destiny is completely and totally in your hands, right? You know, I'm almost to 4 years now quitting drinking alcohol, right? And the success in that kind of thing sort of wasn't there because I had some magic potion behind me. I didn't go to the AA, I didn't go to my doctor, anything like that. I quit drinking because I had to, right? I just thought that whatever was happening in my life was just pulling me backwards, you know, one step forward, two steps backwards, and that's the way I was feeling, you know. I was feeling this way in so many different areas of my life, with my family, especially my son, with my work life, with my spiritual life, with my finances, my health. Everything was just taking a step backwards instead of moving forwards. And it was because of that I eventually sort of got myself out of the situation of keeping thinking all the time, well, you know, alcohol is a part of my life, it's a part of who I am, it's a part of the core person that I am. And I think it was that moment, once I started to break down that core belief, that alcohol had any part to play in my life, or any successful part in my life, that was the time when I had to start stepping back and thinking about how alcohol was really affecting my life and how it was sort of destroying me, you know, destroying me from the inside outwards, you know, from the health point of view, and as I say, from every other aspect of life in general. There's no point in sitting down and waiting for the right person to come along, right? Waiting for the right time to come along, right? The right circumstances to come along. Waiting for the time when the doctor can give you a magic pill which says, yeah, time is right now for doing this, you know, because the time is never going to be right? That person is never going to come along, that person who, you know, you can listen to these videos and you can get inspiration from them, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it all comes down to you. It all comes down to you putting your hand in there and doing your thing, you know. I mean, my life has improved so much, right, since I stopped drinking, so much in every different aspect of it. And it was because I made that initial choice and I followed through, and I kept going and I kept going and I kept going. I kept refusing to have a drink. I kept refusing to put it into my head that I needed to have a drink, right? For anything in my life, right? For relaxation, for sleep, for fucking sex, for anything, right? I didn't need alcohol, right? Anything that I was using alcohol before to gain, right, I was able to get now by other means. And I was able to make much better choices. I was able to, you know, those things that saw the relaxation or the sleep, you know, I never realized that, well, you know, without alcohol, that I would have a much better sleep than I'd had in a long, long time before. I never realized that there were much better ways to relax without drinking alcohol. I never realized what a dick I was, you know, when I was using alcohol as a social tool, what a dick I was being, you know. I mean, I was being a child all my life. As soon as I drank alcohol, that was it. I turned into some kind of 14-stone, bald-headed child, you know, and the words and the stuff that used to come out of my mouth was some of it, you know, when I think back, and it was atrocious. You know, not from the perspective of that anything that I was saying was wrong, but that, you know, you get to a certain stage in your life when you start thinking to yourself, well, I want to be a certain person. This is how I see myself, right? And when you're a drinker, or when you're a drug taker, or when you're doing anything that revolves around this momentary gratification, right? This short-term thinking, right? That's at complete odds with the other part of you that wants to be the grown-up, you know, the person who wants to be looked up to, you know, somebody, you know, like I want my son to look up to me. I want my friends to sort of think, well, yeah, this is a guy I can trust, you know, this is a guy I can go to for for advice. This is a guy I can go to with anything I need, and you know, like, he's going to be there to help me out, either with his time or his knowledge or whatever, you know. And you know, when you're a drinker, you can't lead this double life, and I was sick of leading that kind of a double life. And you know, it wasn't even a double life, because when I was thinking about being that person that I wanted to be, the alcohol was always dragging me back. So, you know, in my mind, it was always sort of there and saying, well, you know, how can you be that person, you know? And even though I might not have logically been saying it to myself, it's there in the back of your head. You know, it's there chipping away at your self-belief, at your self-confidence. And, you know, that has dramatic and long-lasting consequences right into your life, you know. So, you know, you can drink as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you know, once you start eroding your own self-belief and your own self-confidence, you know, that's a recipe for disaster. In one way, where I was at that time that I gave up drinking alcohol was a blessing in disguise, right? Because I worked myself down, you know, all those years, and I worked and worked and worked. But as I say, you know, you sort of pull yourself up with one hand, and you've got this other thing that's pulling you down with the other, you know. And the more you try and pull yourself up, the further back down you go. You know, it's like this spiral of control that Alan Carr talks about in his books. And I think getting to that point where I'm not at base level, right? I'm not at the lowest point that I can be, but there are serious problems in my life, right? I haven't got the money to do a lot of things. I don't have the time to do a lot of things because I've got to work for the money that I need to pay the bills, right? And then the rest of the time I'm drinking, so it's like, you know, it's a catch-22 situation. But, you know, I can see, you know, for some people, if you're a rich person, right? If you've got a lot of money in the bank, and you can sort of go, well, I'm going to sign myself into this rehab clinic. Most rehab clinics are based around the 12-step principles of AA, right? So, you know, this is a free organization, right, the AA, and all these rehab clinics are taking that model and giving it to you, selling it to you for thousands and thousands of dollars, euros, pounds a month, you know. And a lot of the time this doesn't work, because you go into a cloistered environment. It's a very managed environment. There's no alcohol, it's not real life, you know. And then when you come out of that environment, you're sort of back into your real life, you're back into your real job, your friends that you normally associate with, you know, you're back into your real life. So it's very easy then to sort of go back into your old life again. Whereas with me, I didn't have the money to do that. I didn't want to go to the AA. I didn't want to go to the doctor and stuff like that, and, you know, embarrass myself and do the things what I knew I had to do, which was just to stop drinking. Once I stopped drinking, that problem of drinking and all the other associated problems are going to disappear. Period. Right? There was no other problem that was the only problem that I would have had after I stopped drinking would have been from the damage that it caused, right? And luckily, very fortunately, after all those years of drinking, I haven't caused any damage, right? So, you know, there was a lot of sort of flab that I had to get rid of. There was a lot of thinking that I had to get rid of, you know, the drinking thinking, all that kind of stuff. But that takes time, you know, and you know, time is a great healer from that sense, you know. So, look, once you quit drinking, I can't tell you what to do then, you know. I mean, I can tell you what I've done. You know, like, I've just thrown myself into a lot of different stuff, the website, trying to do different things in my life. A lot of stuff is healing old wounds. A lot of stuff involves just trying to build my relationships up again with my family and with my son. I mean, not that they were bad relationships in the first place, but they were always suffering because of my drinking. You know, my side of the relationship always suffered because of my drinking. So that's what I've been doing, you know. And, you know, your after life might be completely different to mine. So anyway, look, I just wanted to do a quick video today on that. That your destiny is in your hands, and regardless of what you do in this life, whether you're trying to get rid of old habits or trying to construct new habits in your life, it's all up to you. You know, there's nobody else that's going to do it for you. There's nobody else that can do it for you. You know, it's like trying to get somebody else to do the press-ups for you. Well, you get the benefits. It's not going to happen. You know, you have to go through the pain in order to get the benefits from that. You know, you have to go through the pain of quitting drinking and the discomfort that causes, right? And then push yourself onwards. So if you have any questions about this at all, leave us a comment down below. If you have any questions that you'd like to see me making a video about, then please also leave your comments down below as well. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and come on over to the website alcoholmastery.com and sign up for the newsletter. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Onwards and upwards. Take care.